Hello chess lovers and welcome to Chess Insight. In this video, we're going to explore one of the most aggressive and deadly classical openings in chess. It's simple to learn, powerful to use, and can easily crush your opponent when played correctly. But keep in mind, this opening isn't recommended against experienced players, especially grandmasters. However, if you're facing someone with an ELO rating below 1500, this opening can be your secret weapon. This is the Ponziani Opening. The game begins with pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, and knight to c6. This is one of the most common positions after two moves in chess. And now, on the third move, we play pawn to c3, the signature move of the Ponziani Opening. So, why play pawn to c3? The idea behind this move is to temporarily block the knight's natural development square on c3 in order to build a strong pawn center. That's the main concept of the Ponziani Opening. In this position, black's most common responses are knight to f6, pawn to d5, or pawn to d6. Beginners also often play bishop to c5. Against this, we continue with pawn to d4, the main line of the Ponziani Opening. Pawn captures pawn, and we recapture with our pawn. This is one of the key benefits of pushing pawn to c3 earlier. As you can see, white now has two solid pawns in the center, which can be quite uncomfortable for black. If black plays bishop to b4 with check, we simply block with the knight. And if black captures the knight, our central pawns become even stronger, giving white a clear advantage. But what if instead of capturing the knight, black develops the other knight to f6, attacking the pawn on e4. We simply push pawn to d5, attacking the knight. No matter where the knight goes, its position becomes more passive. For example, if it retreats to e7, we play bishop to d3 to defend the pawn on e4. Players unfamiliar with this opening often push pawn to d6, trying to prevent e4, e5, and also freeing the light-squared bishop. But that's actually a mistake because we can play queen to a4 check, and the bishop on b4 will be lost. What if black doesn't check and instead retreats the bishop to b6? Then we continue with knight to c3. If black develops the other knight to f6, we push pawn to e5, attacking the knight. The only safe squares are g4 or g8, and of course g8 wastes a tempo, so black will likely choose g4. After that, we play pawn to h3, attacking the knight. If the knight retreats to h6, we can simply capture it to damage black's pawn structure. Let's go back a few moves. What if, on move 3, black plays pawn to d6? Then we reply with pawn to d4, and black often develops knight to f6. Here we play pawn to h3, a tricky move that looks like we forgot to defend e4. The idea is to stop bishop to g4 from pinning our knight. But to our opponent, it looks like we've blundered the pawn on e4. If black takes the pawn, we push d5, attacking the knight. After the knight retreats, say to e7, we play queen to a4 check, and win the knight on a4. Now let's go back again. What if black chooses the most popular variation, knight to f6? This is the line you'll see most often when playing the Ponziani. As usual, we continue with pawn to d4. Black can capture on d4 or e4. If knight captures pawn on e4, we push pawn to d5, attacking the knight. The knight moves to e7, and we recapture the pawn with our knight. A common mistake for black here is playing pawn to d6, trying to chase our knight away. But that's a huge blunder. What's the best move for white here? Is it queen to a4? Not quite. The best move is bishop to b5 with check. If pawn blocks, we capture pawn takes pawn. If black captures our knight and tries to trade queens, we play a discovered attack. Pawn captures pawn with check by the bishop. If black blocks with the bishop, don't hesitate. Capture it with your queen. After queen takes queen, we play pawn captures rook and promote to a queen. Knight blocks the check, queen captures knight. The only move for black's king is e7, and after queen captures queen, black is completely lost. What if instead of capturing the knight, black captures on d4 with the pawn? Then we simply recapture knight takes pawn and prepare for a discovered check next move. If black plays queen to b6, trying to threaten checkmate on f2, we respond with knight to b4, discovered check by the bishop. The knight also defends the bishop and blocks the queen's diagonal, so there's nothing to worry about. Now let's return again. We already know that pawn to d6 is a fatal mistake. But what if black plays knight to g6 instead, aiming to trade knights? We play bishop to d3. If knight captures on d5, we recapture on d4. Sometimes black tries a sneaky trick by sacrificing the knight on f2, attacking both the queen and rook. The idea is that after king captures the knight, black will play bishop to c5 check, and later win back the knight on d5. But here, we calmly sacrifice our queen. Bishop captures knight on g6. Black will almost always take the queen, thinking white has no immediate threats. But after knight captures queen, we respond with bishop captures pawn on f7 with check. After the forced move king to e7, we bring out our dark squared bishop to g5 check. The only move is king to d6. Then knight to c4 check. Again, a forced move, and the king steps to c5. We follow with knight from b to a3, and black is checkmated on the next move. If queen captures bishop, pawn to b4 is checkmate. Or if the knight captures on b2 to stop the mate, then bishop to e3 delivers checkmate instead. Let's go back again. What if on move 3, black plays pawn to d5? This is the strongest response to the Ponziani opening. Here we play queen to a4, pinning the knight while defending the pawn on e4. Usually black plays bishop to d7, breaking the pin. We respond pawn captures pawn. Black jumps knight to d4, a discovered attack on our queen, while also threatening our knight and a fork on c2. The best move for white here is to retreat the queen back to d1. Knight captures knight. Queen recaptures. These moves are part of the main line of the Ponziani opening, a line that's rarely studied by beginners. That's why this opening is so effective against players rated below 1500. Alright chess lovers, that's our deep dive into the Ponziani opening. Hopefully this video helps you expand your opening repertoire. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next chess content.